yeah, so let Charles introduce himself and then tell us about more of what he did and stuff, and then you can continue.
Awesome. Hi guys. My name is Charles Ofula. I'm an Android developer at Skylab Systems. So my project was about augmented reality. The title was personalized learning for personalized learning in education using augmented reality. So what it entailed was so there's some noise coming from somewhere. Okay, so see, my project, what it was actually just in the field of, I limited it to the field of education. So what it was for teachers to kind of deliver content from to the students using augmented reality models. So there was a setup, kind of like a Google Classroom. It was mimicking that. So the teacher had a repository with augmented reality models and could share these models to the students who also had like an Android application to be able to join the teachers' classrooms and view those models. So the students kind of like had the sorry for the noise from my side. So the students had the capability to join multiple classrooms and access multiple models in whichever classroom they were in. So how did they come up with it? So coming up with it, okay, before, okay, while you are looking for ideas, the main fields that everyone was going to was machine learning and IoT. And on my side, like I had very little knowledge when it came to IoT and AI, so I had to look for uh, another technology that would also stand out. And given that I knew I was very good with mobile apps, so I decided to look for technology that would fit to it. So the two options were blockchain and augmented reality. And so I went with augmented reality, and looking for a field to fit in wasn't an issue. It was just down to either medicine and education. So chose education since it's a field where there's a lot you can do in. There's really a lot you can do in there. So that's how I ended up getting to augmented reality, Android app, and an education app. And okay, it's not just that simple. There was also a lot of research into it. I had to go look for guys who had done augmented reality systems before for their projects, and it was only one guy. So it was something I was a bit excited with it, so I decided to go with it. What I wish someone would have told me was, oh, sorry, the backend for the application. I did front end was Android, just native using Java and Airco. Airco is an SDK for just to help you uh, load the AR models into the Android part to Android Studio and manipulate them, just customize them to how you want them to look like. And for the backend, I did using Laravel, and a DB was just MySQL DB. Uh, so what I wish someone would have told me was the expectations of the panel. The panel, they had a lot of expectations. Uh, I think I was the first guy to present in my group, so I was lucky not to have everyone in the panel. Watu wengine walichelewa kidogo. And the guys who presented after me, they got a lot of heat. So the expectations were really high. So yeah, my supervisor experience. Actually, my supervisor experience was really nice. My supervisor was Anthony Kajira, and I chose him because he was really good with Android apps, and I needed his help there. So yeah, he really helped me in terms of the UIs, the also into the back end. He helped me out a bit because he told me that when they'll be reviewing my app, they'll also look at the DB and how I structured it, the schemas and everything. And documentation pia alikuwa alinisaidia poa sana. So Yeah, that's pretty much how my experience was.
Awesome. Thanks, Charles. So, guys, if you have any question towards Charles, so Charles' project basically did, as you said, augmented reality. So, just to paint a picture, I think come on my checky the way Google has implemented augmented reality, the way you can draw an object and then automate your phone. So he was using it to help guys learn using models come as a global, the map, and also animals and things like that, and the human skeleton. So it was a very cool project as well. I think next up. So I hope you guys, if you have any question, if you want to do augmented reality or have any question, just post it on the chat, and then he'll answer. I think Adrian, I've seen Adrian is there, so Adrian can tell us what he did. So if you have any question about it, today we'll be basically tackling all your questions about projects, what projects will be accepted and stuff like that. So Adrian can share what his project was about and how he came up with the idea as well.
Hi guys. Uh, okay, let me just reintroduce myself though I did yesterday. My name is Adrian, and my project it was titled Depresso. So what it did basically, to summarize, is just it tries to it's a program that tries to detect depression through Twitter data. So by the tweets that users tweet, so to speak. Yeah, and how did I come up with this idea? Mm, Well, actually, it was my first idea, weirdly enough. But it was just one of those ideas where you're like, that won't work. Or that sounds too crazy. So you stop, you don't think about it. But the longer you stay with it, then you realize that it will work. Because I talked to one of my lecturers at the time. She's not there talking right now anymore. But called Sharon. So she told me, sounds great to me. So and you can I think she told me it was doable. So I was like, you know what? Let me try to challenge myself. I actually didn't have any experience with machine learning or AI or something of the sort. I had absolutely zero experience, but I did like Python. I did like the machine learning is that we did. I was like, let me just give myself a challenge. Yeah, and how I came up with it is, you know, there are just increasing cases of depression in Strathmore and all this talk about suicides and stuff. So I was like, let me see if I can use technology to try to combat that issue. And tech stack, the languages I used. Actually, me, I used purely Python. As I said last time, I didn't have any front end. Okay, I didn't make any front end, so to speak. I Mine was fully running in the back end. It was just using the Twitter API. So I was using purely Python, the backend, which was basically the whole thing, and the Twitter API, and several Python libraries like you've come across pandas. It's a really useful, and you're going to use it so much. Use pandas. I used NLTK, which is the natural language toolkit. I've used Tweepy. Tweepy is also the one for if you're planning on using Twitter. Just connects to the Twitter basically. And what else? What I wish someone had told me. Well, mostly I wish someone told me it shouldn't be a stressful thing, the project that is. It should be mostly fun and educative because I started having fun with it towards the very end. Because at the beginning I was just mostly, stressed, thinking what the hell am I going to do? But yeah, I wish someone would have told me that it's not something insurmountable, something that can be done and something that you should enjoy and learn from it. My experience with my supervisor. So for me, my supervisor was Dr. Herrera, and most people say he's low energy, which is true. But once you know that from the beginning, you actually won't have big problem. Because actually, my experience was okay. It wasn't bad. That was mostly left to my own devices, which means just I was mostly unsupervised, ironically, which could be a good or a bad thing depending on your perspective. But once I realized that I was mostly on my own, I quickly built myself my own schedule. I worked knowing that nobody's actually following me. So, yes, and it teaches you good time management. And he actually did give me some good advice, especially when I was a bit stuck. Actually, he knows a lot, actually. He really knows a lot. And it's just that he's a really high expectation kind of supervisor.
Yeah, thanks. I think Charles can answer the question on what do you mean lecturers have high expectations. I think as Charles thinks about it, by high expectations I mean like so this guys normally think or hope that you've been in 4 years of school and like they want to see something quality or something I don't know how to put it, but something that can blow their mind, you know. So well, for us, I think what helped us is having something mind blowing in your project. Like for Charles was the augmented reality. So the high expectations from my side, I think the high expectations was they expect you to have at least a system and it's something that's actually quality given the time that you have. So given like 1 year, they expect you to have actually something quality. You know what Charles has to say?
Jabez, you pretty much answered what I would say. As in, it's just they really expected a lot. I think they're just looking for like MIT projects or something. Because I remember one member of the panel asked me to was questioning why I didn't add AI on top of augmented reality. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I meant by high expectations. And I see another question for the resources for AR. I used ARCO site from Google developers. So just a whole documentation of the ARCO SDK, the how to use it, how to integrate it into your app, into your project. Yeah, it's detailed there, and also a lot of hours on YouTube. It was just purely YouTube. So yeah, that's
Awesome, thanks. So in the link, I've shared an Airco documentation. So if you want to do augmented reality, it's okay. Why I think augmented reality is still mind blowing for the supervisors is because not so many people have done it. I think Charles was the only one in our, or two people did it, and the year before only one person did it. So if you think about augmented reality, you can think about projects around education, around healthcare, and things like that. Next up, yes, we have Anne. Can Anne like share what she did, her project was, and yeah, if you guys have any questions, just keep on popping them on the chat.
Hi guys. So my name is Fobia Anilata. I hope you guys can hear me or Annie. So my project was basically an Android application for diabetics. So what usually happens, diabetics have monitoring their meals, their lifestyle in terms of the exercise that they're taking. So to do that, they have probably a nutritionist or they have a
I can't hear you well, Anne.
so, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Yeah, so you have to probably see a nutritionist give you a plan or tell you eat this, do not eat this. So, okay, I think my idea was has a bit of a background to it from what I did, but basically it was an Android application to help the ability to manage and monitor by eating your. So, how was the application doing? Basically, you are entering the meals you take in, the exercises you do, the medicines that you're taking every day. And then I was connected to an API that contained a food database for health and a number
Yeah, I think Anne, we can't hear you so clearly. So I think you can try set that up. But in the meantime, I'll welcome someone who's done IoT. Yes, for you guys who want to do IoT, you can ask Githinji most of your questions. So Githinji did something in IoT.
Hi guys. Yes, this is Gidinji. I did IoT. The project that I did was on lighting. So what I did was automated lighting, dynamic lighting to be exact. And I was influencing my lights to interact with the environment. That is, they change the intensity with the surrounding light, with the ambient light that's there from the sun. So this would help in energy efficiencies and that. So my experience doing IoT, truthfully speaking, it wasn't the best because I think this is my belief in FIT. There are few lecturers who know about IoT and who have actually interacted with the platform. Case in point being Dixon. The other lecturers, some even admitted that they don't know much about it, and I was really bashed in the presentation. So that's one thing to look out for. So if you're doing IoT, what I'd advise is try and couple it up with something else, maybe AI, or do a mobile app. Don't just do the web-based IoT or just Arduino or the mechanical IoT. Yes. What else? Yeah. So some of the things that you'd require in IoT, it's mainly a hardware platform. So what you're doing essentially is coding hardware to interact and react to the environment. Yeah, so and connect it to the internet. Yes, so I'm not sure. I hope I've introduced it well. If there are any questions, just pass them my way and I'll be able to expand on them. Jabez.
Um, PJB seems to be indisposed. Maybe you can now ask your questions about your projects or something that you need.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, Githinji, I was asking you about your supervisor. You said, yeah.
My supervisor was Dixon. Dixon, he's a really good supervisor. He actually guides you well on what you're supposed to do. The only problem that I had with him last year is that there was something that he was doing and he wasn't around school for the last part. So most of like the last 3 months, I was alone. So even getting feedback from him was scattered. But overall, when he's present, he's really nice. If you're to do IoT, so if you're looking into IoT, he's the. I don't think if Oteri was in the panel, I would also suggest him. But Dixon for now is like the guy to go for IoT.
Yeah, so if you want to do IoT, even me, I definitely recommend Dixon's the best guy you can get if you want to do an IoT idea. And I think for IoT ideas, mostly they want to see whether for your project, they'll check whether the something that you've built has connected to like a cloud or connected to an internet service or something of a sort. Someone wants to hear about the diabetes system. Anna, are you ready? Oh, is there a question?
Can you guys hear me clearly now?
Yeah, it's way better.
Okay, so yes, my project was an Android application to help diabetics to monitor and manage the disease. So basically, they have to probably go to a nutritionist to get a meal plan, or like regularly go to their doctor after like a span of 3 months. To see how their blood glucose level is at. So the application was basically to help them keep a record of all the meals they were taking. So to do that, I was getting their details and calculating their daily calorie requirements for a day. So, and then I was connecting to an API that had a food database. So if you try, like, let's say you want to import that you ate bread, and then so the API gives you back the number of calories in that bread, and then you can compare it to whatever you've eaten during the day to your daily calorie requirements. So you are able to put data on what you've eaten, the meals, exercises you've done, and the medication. And then you got recommendations on meals to eat to regulate your blood glucose level. So the data, one of the major important data that diabetics have to do is on like their blood glucose level. So if you input that one that's below the recommended, it gives you like recommendations on what to eat to take it back to the recommended level. So yes, that's basically what I did. So yes, the stacks I used Android Java, and then I had to do a backend for it, like for sign up, for communicating with the API. So I use PHP, Laravel framework, and yes, what else? So my supervisor experience, I chose what was her name? Sharon Mugambi, because at first I had some machine learning sprinkled onto the project, but I removed it later. So I chose her because she was like prompt on feedback, and she'll give you like detailed feedback. So after she went, I got Esther Kakata as my supervisor. Also because of like the way she gives her feedback and like she guides you throughout. So yes. So what else? Probably something I wish I was told before. I feel like I looking at the background of my problem and all these things you have to look at in an application. I think I was forcing machine learning so much into it because I felt like for guys to agree to my project, like it had to have like some sort of ML to like be dropping or something. But like yes, so that's something I wish like I tried to um just add something that made sense instead of just sprinkling machine learning for the sake of sprinkling it. So yes, I'll take questions.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. So I'll share mine quick. I think I shared yesterday. I did so weird thing is that me and Charles almost did similar things. We did something around personalized learning, but he did it in a different way. He used augmented reality and I used machine learning. And yeah, we're both presenting after each other. So literally it was weird because we're both doing the same thing. So I was using artificial intelligence to help to create personalized content for each learner. So you see the way there are fast learners and there are slow learners. I was using machine learning to try and detect who is a fast learner, who is a slow learner, and then adapt the content depending on that. So if someone you see is doing good at addition, you know that they can do really well in subtraction. So you give them that content of subtraction. And if you know someone's a slow learner, you don't give them that content. So basically, I was using machine learning to do that. So the tech stack that I used, I did Android app. I used Kotlin on the Android side. Then weirdly enough, I used also Kotlin for the backend because I said I only know one thing at that time, so I'm just gonna use it to do everything. If Kotlin could have done machine learning, I'd have definitely used it. But then I had to use Python. I used Keras, and to be very honest, I never built the model myself. Who built the model? Probably some Russian guy found it on GitHub, and I just put his like integrated the model and built a REST API around it. Yeah. So I think something that I wish someone would have told me is so even as I think Adrian said, is to have fun with your projects. Second of all is I wouldn't focus on the nitty gritties that don't really matter. Like up today, I'm asking myself, why did I build a login and sign up to my application? Like I would have literally said, this application I don't want. It shouldn't have sign up, and no one would have told you because I mean you're the person who's doing the feature. So I think I wasted myself trying to like a week setting up login and sign up, and I could have just gone straight core to my project. Yeah. So I think if machine learning is your core, get that part to work. Like, and then if you have time, start adding the other things. Like I'll add login, I'll add now better UI or something of the sort. My supervisor was Sharon. So I'd recommend if you're gonna do an AI project or machine learning project, I'd recommend you to go for someone who's in AI because they'll help you a lot. So when Sharon left, I think the person who took over was Daniel Machanji. But yeah, so I think also advice. Yeah, someone is saying totally agree on focusing on the core. Yeah, focus on the core. Like deliver. You see, these guys know you know how to do login. Like you've done that from first year to second year and third year and all those things and user management. So don't like even in your presentation this guy's never even cared about me logging into the system. Like when I was starting to present, and then I was like, so you input your password. They're like, okay, no, we don't go ahead, like pass. They don't care about your login. So focus on like the core features. And also I wish something someone would have told me is you won't complete your project 100%. I think I got to 70 or 80. Because I think when you're starting right now, you're so ambitious. But then as time moves by, it gets less you get less ambitious. Yeah. So I think that's something I wish someone would have told me. Yeah. Unless Adrian, anyone has anything to add on or Githinji. So you guys can drop your questions here so that we answer them on like uh projects that were accepted, projects that were not accepted. And there are actually not so many projects that were rejected. I don't think there were. There are not so many. Yeah. Um Anyone who did something around blockchain. I can give you a reference to someone. I think I can share his contact if you reach out. But someone did something in blockchain to help in health records around the country. So blockchain is still a growing. If you're thinking about a project idea and also this is something you guys asked, like how to come up with a project idea. If you're thinking about doing something in blockchain, you can look around health, title deeds management, and like governments and security and how to even prevent corruption through like using blockchain. Um, Anything on gaming? Charles, you want to answer that?
On gaming, I don't think anyone did anything on gaming. But and also about blockchain. Actually, the first project I was going to do was to do with blockchain. It was about using blockchain, creating a blockchain wallet for just this to help my youths get to jobs around. If there's someone who needs something like uh, what just you have a chore that you need someone to do for you, you can just hire someone and come and do it for you, and then there's a payment using blockchain wallet. And it was dismissed by I consulted Dixon about it before I started on it, and he dismissed it. He said that the field of blockchain, it's it's something that I was going to get a lot of heat on it from the lecturers. And yeah, if you consult the guys who did blockchain, I'm sure they had a hard time kidogo on it. But yeah, at the end of the day, they still pull through. And gaming, I don't think anyone did something on gaming. I don't think so. But you could try. Yeah. Oh,
Um,
but there was gamification. There was the thing about gamification. Gamification.
yeah,
Gamification. I mean, making your app feel like the users are playing a game. It's like putting in a reward point system for maybe the way I had students in my application. Kind of like for the AR models, I Orero suggested that. This is an example. Like while viewing the models, make it so that it's kind of like a game, so that the students can guess which body part is this. So when they select the body part, they get some points out of it, and at the end of the day, they have this total number of points. So yeah, that's on gaming. That's all I can say.
yeah. I think something on games is so because me and Charles did something on education. Orero told me the same thing. He told me, "Why don't you make a game that uses artificial intelligence or machine learning?" But then there was no way I was gonna build a game. So I used gamification techniques. So this is why you put stuff like sounds, you put stuff like a score system, like points. So for every question and animations, so that looks makes it look more appealing because my target audience was children. So I think yeah, anything on gaming. I think I games might be allowed. Like if you're building an app, like for my initial thing I was thinking of building an app that can help people with dyslexia or children who can't be able to read stuff well. In such cases, games can be allowed. Gizinji, I think you want to add on something. You can answer the IoT one, especially.
Uh, the IoT one. Okay. Can't see the IoT one.
Can
Read
I
it
read it
for
to
me.
you?
Yeah, just read
Do
it.
panelists only have an attitude to the technologies they are not familiar with, or it's just IoT?
Okay. The panelists, like even Charles has said, he was advised not to do blockchain because he'd get a lot of hit. So I think what they don't know, they might have an issue marking it like they did with IoT, because it wasn't even an issue of just me. It was the whole IoT group. Even
Okay. And to add on to that, whether they did have an attitude with technologies that they were not really uh, good in, sorry to say that, like AR. And I took advantage of this, by the way. When I noticed my panel, like none of them knew AR that deeply. I just started throwing every big word that's related to AR. And I think that helped me kidogo, since I didn't, at the end of my presentation, I didn't get any question in relation to AR. And they had this idea of AR being such a big thing. But when you go to interact with it, it's actually very simple, by the way. But if you're going to a different technology, me, I would advise, but you go for it.
Yeah, it can go. I think sometimes they have the bias as well because
yeah.
this is me. I'd be very honest with you guys. When presentations are happening, lecturers have some mini. I think they have some mini show off there when presentations are happening. That's my personal opinion. I feel like sometimes they want to like be like, I know this or I don't know this. So you find that lecturers, of course, all lecturers know more stuff about databases and APIs. So they'll ask you questions on that. But if you come up with something like IoT or blockchain, because also me, I remember I said if I want to, and like this is something I'll tell you out of the like a tip. Your presentation is like a performance. So if you know you
Very
want
true.
to, you gotta put some acting there. Like uh, Charles, I think Charles did his presentation with a three-piece suit. You say how you hacked it, yeah.
That was the greatest thing I saw that day.
So yeah, you have to show them that you know what you're doing. So someone else wants to answer the questions.
Okay, someone. For Roseanne, you can just send me a private chat, then I can get to you. And yeah, the thing for the panel is, it's uh, it's really true. But they're just human beings like the rest of us, so they have bias. And as long as you present yourself well, it will be. They might feel bad with attacking you with so many questions. So yeah, it is a performance sort of, because you are pitching an idea. So you need to have some confidence. Even if you don't have the full thing working, just have some confidence. It does go a long way.
For IoT guys, I've just remembered. I'd advise you guys to go to iLab. iLab, they have an IoT lab. There you'll be able to find guys who are actually building real projects that are being implemented in Kenya and even in other countries. And these guys are very open to helping guys out. Also, in IoT, something that might not be mentioned is the cost. So you're going to be mainly dealing with hardware, and unlike now other programming platforms, you have to buy the hardware themselves. So you might be lucky. Okay, although I didn't hear of anyone who got the boards from school, but this is something that you might be required to invest in so that you're able to build your own prototype, and also invest in YouTube physics classes, because things usually get you short circuit your boards many times if you're not actually very familiar with it. But it's actually easy once you get to learn, and it's fun. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I think also for IoT, I think something Ninja hasn't. I think he used a Raspberry Pi. So if
Yes.
you want,
And
if you want to do, I think IoT, I think he can advise you on that. Don't go there. I wouldn't recommend you to go to the Arduino way because hey, writing C sharp, I think it's C code or what on Arduino. On Raspberry Pi, you can use Java or Python. It has so much flexibility.
yeah, but I still used C++ in my Raspberry Pi.
True. Yeah.
The good thing with the Raspberry Pi is that it's like a whole computer in one. So even doing things like networking, because I wanted my lights to be remotely controlled, so it was easier than having to buy modules for the Arduino chip. Uh, Someone has asked, did anyone fail the class? I'm not sure. There might be people who did, but not because of
Not
not
because of a panel or
not because of not presenting. Okay, there were two presentation panels. One panel was actually really nice, the one that had Orero, and the other one that had I hope they're not here in this call, Akina Dixon.
User five.
Not Dixon, sorry. The one that had Akina Mosoti and and Kajira. That one, we had a tough time. Yeah. So if guys failed, it was because of not
Uh,
presenting, most likely.
Actually, I know of one guy who his presentation was kind of derailed until now. He's not yet presented. I don't know when he's going to present, but it was that it reached a point whereby Orero said that uh, if your system like is not flawless, if there are errors in between, don't come to present. So that guy ended up. I'm not sure if he presented. He came to me, I think, early April to help me with this project. But yeah, so there is that possibility. You have to keep that in mind. So just like someone mentioned before, make sure your core functionality is working. Because if that doesn't work, utasumbuliwa tu.
And documentation is essential. I think for me, documentation is what really helped me.
Anne, do you want to answer a question?
Not really to answer a question, but the group that I was in, that was the Orero, the panel with Orero. So there were guys who were not able, probably we didn't have like one feature working, so we didn't come to present. So those ones were told to come present later, like 3 weeks after, like we're done. So I don't really think, I'm not sure if they were rejected or not, but yeah, they were told to present like later. So
They
okay, one
presented.
They presented, but I think there were some marks were removed, deducted. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, I think someone has asked, do they bring in lecturers from other courses to the panel? Like, let's say your project is in the field of economics. No. So they basically rely on their general knowledge and the things they know, or they. That's why sometimes you may have very heated arguments with your panel because you're like, I've done my research, but then he's guided by his general knowledge. So they don't bring any lecturers from other fields. They mainly rely on what they know. So I don't know if it's a good thing, but yeah, it's a good thing in some way because you can bluff. Yeah, the guys who did the health projects. Yeah, so no one can really tell you whether your model predicted someone has cancer or not. It's up to you. So because they can't, like, how will they know? So they're not doctors or something. Someone has asked examples of projects. So if this question of did anyone fail the class? So here's the thing, and I'll be very honest. If you don't meet your supervisor a couple of times, this your supervisor at the end might be the one to say
Yeah,
to be like
Kuruka.
atakuruka, like I've never seen you. Like
true.
recently I've seen the lecturer who told someone fikiria kwanza. It's the
Sophomore in
same
the
thing.
ghetto.
Yeah. Madaraka University might just do that. So it might make sure you meet your supervisor constantly. Like get those signatures. Because you see, as long as you're bouncing off your ideas, because also me it got to the point I asked my supervisor, we actually become friends with your supervisor to the point I asked him, tell me straight up, will this project pass or not? Like, don't play with me, Aki. Tell me straight up, will this thing pass or not? Until to the point where I was the first one, I was supposed to be the first one to present. So Charles doesn't know this. I was the first one. I was supposed to be the first one to present, but then I told my supervisor I'm not ready. So he pushed Charles to present ahead of me. Sorry, Charles, by the way.
Me, I'm glad. By the way, guys, for the
Holy
panel, me, I'm
best.
so glad I presented first. You guys, please present first. Don't wait for someone to set your standard for you. Present
Yeah.
first and come early. When you're early, not all panelists might be there. Because for me, I only had 3 panelists, of which one was my supervisor. The other one didn't know anything about machine learning, and the other guy was um well, there was another guy. So
Yeah.
yeah, just try to be early.
Someone has asked examples of projects that were rejected. I linked that to the question of management systems. If you know, please don't use that name. Like me, I'm just telling you guys, don't call your system. If you know you're having a management system, call it platform or call it what other technical term can I use? Because I think Aurora is somehow allergic to management system, especially if you're doing only crude functionality. Come on, like your project is just to update records, fetch. I think that might be rejected. I don't know what other guys think.
I was also going to talk about the crude. So don't do something that just connects you. So don't do something simple. Probably the other thing that just came to mind was someone who said, don't do an app that's supposed to predict the weather in like we say in the next 30 years. Like think about something as much as you want to do like a project that's like out of this world or something, just make sure the project you can be able to demo it or like link it to the Kenyan context. You don't have to really link it to the Kenyan, but it's something you can demo and show. Or so if this happens, what I was trying to do, I can achieve like your, I think the goals of your project in your documentation, if you're able to achieve them at the end. So I remember there was someone I can't remember who we had in our group was presenting something to what? Yes, to, I don't know, like someone drowning or something. So in my mind when he was presenting, I was like, how are you going to demo this? I don't know how that project went, but it was to detect someone drowning. It was like, how are you going to demo this? So as much as you want to think of something that's out of this world, just think about the project goals and also research in advance before you probably write your proposal. Research on resources for something, because you can propose something. I'll use like this kind of database to do this, and then you go and find like there's no data on that. So also research in advance, or you can ask your supervisor. So can I get this data or any resource that I need for this project that I'm doing? Talk to someone and get data on that, or like just any resource for what you need.
Yeah, I think thanks on. I think something I'd say for someone who did machine learning is please get your data before. If you're gonna do a project on machine learning, don't be like us who started. Personally, I started looking for my data. I think the second semester, and finding data is not easy, especially quality data. So if you're gonna do a machine learning project, or you're gonna solve a problem using machine learning, it's better you have that data right now and then work ahead.
By the about that, by the I also have to emphasize on that because I learned that the hard way. You really need your data early, super early. That's the first thing you should actually look for, not the algorithms, not the tutorials or whatever. Get your data first, because it's without the data, that project is dead. You can't actually analyze nothing. So yeah, and it's not data for testing, data for training. For those you've done some AI units, you know what training data and testing data is. So you need training data first before you actually start doing anything. Because without it, that project is actually dead.
Yeah, and Orero asks that in the panel. He'll ask you where he'll ask you. I think shared this yesterday. On the first presentation you'll do, if you're doing a machine learning, he'll want Orero sometimes he's very low key but knows so much things about AI. So he'll ask you what are the input variables and what are the targets. So what is the input to your model and what is the output and what model are you proposing to use? If you know those things, he'll know at least you know what you're doing. So if you're doing like for Adrian, I think for sentimental analysis, the input to the model was the tweet, and then the output was a probability of whether someone is depressed or not depressed. Yeah. Anyone can share on where they got their data, Adrian or
Yeah, okay. For me, I created my own data set basically. Um, some of you may have come across the Google form. I don't know how far it spread because it was anonymous, but I sent a Google Forms last year around, I don't know, it was around August to September, somewhere there, to collect like sentence. Because since I was trying to detect if a sentence will be, if a tweet is signifies depression or not, I sent forms for people to fill what sentences they'll write if they were depressed. So that's where I got my data. It was like around 400 rows, but you don't need to have like 2,000 rows or 10K rows for your presentation. That's what my supervisor told me. You just need like, for me, to me, mine is okay. Yeah.
yeah, I think I think Adrian came up with data. And you want to say something?
There's also a site where you can get like random data. I think it's
Yeah.
called UCI. Let me look for that link and share it. UCI Machine Learning Repository, something like that. Let me just share the link here.
I think also let me share the best. I think the best place to get your data is Kaggle.com. So if you go to Kaggle, you're gonna find so this is actually how you can get your project. If you go to Kaggle, go and look for hackathons that have happened on Kaggle. So if you go and check out the hackathons that have happened in Kaggle, you can actually find like projects that you can do, because it says Kaggle has 19,000 public data sets. So anything you want to do, Kaggle has it, and you can look around the competitions. And I think also right now, I think something that's been happening is there's so much you can build so much around this Corona thing. So think about applications or like stuff how you can use machine learning uh to help like the whole Corona thing. I think that would be a novel idea. Um,
I've seen someone ask, so you can mess up your presentation, but documentation saves you. In my case, what I'd say is I think so. I think that helped me. But presentation, what you actually have to prove is that you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. At least they'll give you some leeway and say, ni sawa tu, wewe enda. But if you haven't, then they'll actually disturb you. They'll ask you then, what have you been doing? What are you presenting? Yeah.
yeah, so true. So I think someone has said you can use Zindi as well. So if you want like African-based data, Zindi is a very good place to you get your data. Someone has asked, is there anyone who did a recommendation system? Yeah, I think I guess who did recommendation systems, but then it depends on what are you recommending because it depends the context which this exists in because some guys who did recommender systems had a hard time trying to like convince convince them. But I think there was someone who the year before us did a recommendation system for courses. So like for Strath Masters, depending on how your performance is, so you upload your transcript and then it recommends to you courses which you can do in your postgraduate. But remember that recommendation systems are very complicated, like complex systems. But yeah, if you can do it, then why not?
There was a question asked about which projects were rejected, and I can remember a few, but they're not like rejected the point blank, like no, don't do this. It's just like being told politely, have you talked to your supervisor? Go talk to your supervisor. Uh, w- Examples there was one for estimating the price of your car, how much you would sell your car for. You just, I think it was something you put in the parameters, how old your car is, nini, and he was supposedly supposed to use machine learning in his project, but I think it was rejected. Another project was anti-drowning system using IoT. I don't know how he planned on doing that project, but I think it was rejected. Another project was a to-do list application using machine learning. That was rejected. Another one was there was a management system for multiple schools combined into one. It was something to do along with that. It was a school management system, and that was rejected too. And yeah, I think that's all I can remember for the rejected project.
Also, don't create programs that promote crime. Because there was a certain project that seemed to the person behind it, I don't think that was the intention, but it could be seen as trying to promote kitu kidogo. For example, like the project was, if I could remember, like a way for you to pay fines using M-Pesa, something of the sort. Like instead of going to court, because the what it's the process usually you go to court, then you're fined there, then you're usually not fined by the policeman on the where you on the road. I mean that really happens here, but that's not how it's supposed to be. So he
Yeah.
was trying to create a project where you forgo the court process and just pay the fine via an app to the police officer, which is actually illegal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think now I've remembered another project that I don't know how far it went. Apart from the anti-drowning system, which I don't know how you implement that. Like, I think it was someone tried to do, which I thought was a brilliant idea. So you go. His context was you go out and you're drunk and you spend money that you never wanted to spend. So he was trying to use AI to detect when you're drunk, or like by your how you operate your phone and stuff, or like your face movements, and then block you from using M-Pesa. Something else I'd also advise is don't come up with a simple idea and then you say you'll use AI. Like it's a to-do list application. A to-do list application literally doesn't need AI. I don't know how. Like it's just a list of tasks. Yeah. What is required more work, the documentation or development? Someone can answer that.
Um, if you're good at writing, you'll find documentation being very easy. Um, in documentation, the actual hard part is the literature review part. So you're supposed to look for references and other systems that do the similar uh, do something similar to what you're doing, or what systems that you're building on. In development now, there I think it's it's also according to, it varies from person to person. For me, IoT was something that I had done before, so it was really easy. I actually built my thing in like 1 month, less than a month actually, and it crashed the day before the presentation, and I was able to rebuild it that night and present. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it depends. It depends on what you're doing and how good you are at in coding. I've seen someone asking if there was anyone who finished without knowing how to code.
I think
Um, yes,
I
there
think
must
so.
be.
It's so
Yes.
easy. So easy to hack.
Obviously, there are some guys who paid people. There are some guys who didn't do the project themselves. There are some guys who, I don't know how else would finish without it. Because
But there are so many guys who finish without knowing how to code. That's
Akina Mosoti, if you're in Mosoti's pan, just be warned. Just be warned. The guy will tell you to open your code. And yeah, so it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think I mean, it's so easy to. Okay, I don't know how you survive. You'll meet someone called Elfas Hajira next semester. Um, Surviving him without knowing how to code is a very tricky scenario. It depends the definition of knowing how to code. Like you can know how to write simple, like you know how to write a Java class, you know how to call it, you know what a function is. But I think for Strath computer science, it's so easy to finish without knowing how now to code. So you just, as long as you get that 40, which you can get, I don't think not all exams are usually code full, so it's very easy to do that. I think also something else that Gitinja said is, and I'd stress it. So your marks for this semester are going to be half. It's like half. What you get in this semester plus what you get in the next semester is what really matters. So your output for this semester will be your chapter 1, 2, and 3, which will be marked by two lecturers at random, and then the mark will be the average. I think is what your mark is. So you'll get to do, I think, two things this semester. You'll get to do the initial presentation. So people mostly like, you can joke around the initial, but it's actually Kai's marks. So your initial presentation is marked, and that one I can tell you for free marks. If you have a good oral presentation, then you have good, you can easily pass. So it's marked. I think as it was marked out of 20, and then you have the proposal, which is given out. So your proposal has your chapter 1, 2, and 3. The heavy part of that is your literature review, and I think we can have more discussion on like literature review later on. Charles, you want to answer the question, or Adrian, on hazardous to present a project without one or four objectives achieved?
Yeah, that is actually very dangerous. Unless unless that one objective that you did is a really huge objective. Maybe if the others are just like non-functional requirements, but that is generally very dangerous. Because what if it fails during presentation, that one thing?
Yeah, I think yet very true. But also this is how I hacked it. I started writing my chapter 4, 5, and 6 after I've built the system. Because I said there's no way I'm gonna lie to these people because I'm not I said I'm gonna do what I'm gonna use AI, I'm gonna use this and all this, which I was sure I wasn't gonna do it. So this is my personal advice. I did my chapter 4. Adrian, you want to add on something?
Um, yeah, there's one thing. Don't when you're presenting your first presentation, don't put your all the things you plan on doing. Because me, from the very beginning, I was extremely vague with what my project was going to do, so that I'm not tied down to anything. I was so vague. I was like, it will detect depression and notify it. It's a very small scope, but it communicates the idea. You don't give promises that you're not sure you can make. Like you can't say that it will detect depression, then you create a report for each individual user and send it to their mentor via email. Just make very vague strokes of your project when you're presenting the first few times. Then when you've actually developed it to some certain extent, you know exactly what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. During the presentation, you might actually get away with having one of your objectives working, and this is mostly when the panel is tired. So if you're amongst the last people, you might get away with that, but there's no way of knowing where you might fall on the list. So just to be safe, have at least 2 key objectives that are working.
Mm, Someone has asked, what does the first presentation entail? Um, so I think I've now remembered. I think we did 2 presentation, guys. Right. So the first
One,
presentation we did was Orero came to class and he told us to tell him our ideas. So, you'd stand up and then share your idea, and then he would ask questions around it and then give you feedback and yeah. I think he did that, right? He just in class and then he asked for
Yeah.
you stand up, share your idea, and then that's the first time guys get to hear your idea and
but was
that's
that
when you get to
marked?
know. No. It's not marked, but that's when you get to know that oops, I used the same site as this guy to get a project. So it's basically
Oops.
yeah. So but that's not the major one. The major one is the one that will have a panel. And the panel is never serious, but they'll still grade you for this. So the presentation you'll do basically will contain your problem description and objectives and how you intend to solve it. I think I don't know if you guys remember, Charles or anyone else.
What I remember is they were also marking the presentation, like how you looked, how your presentation looks like. I remember that's why I scored points because my presentation was actually nice, and I presented nothing. I didn't have like an actual finished product of what I wanted to do. So that's just a hack for getting marks during that. Just make your slides look beautiful.
Yeah, another thing also, don't overpromise. I know I've said this, but I feel like I need to repeat it again. Please don't
Please say.
overpromise. Please don't overpromise. Give the bare minimum in your what is it called? What's the first thing that you usually give out?
Proposal.
Proposal. Yeah.
Proposal.
Give out the bare minimum that is accepted so that when you actually present in the final presentation, you are showing extra stuff. So it looks that like you actually gone over and above. But if you overpromise and you fail to deliver, that's where issues come.
Yeah, I think a small example I can show is I never told these guys that I'd detect whether a learner is watching if their face is there so that I play the video. So I actually added that when I was coding, and then I went back to my project and added it as my objectives afterwards. So just don't get into the curse of like over promising, because you see also right now you guys have so much energy. You're telling yourself I learn React, I learn Vue, I learn Kotlin, and then I learn Python, and I'll also learn Keras. I don't I
And
don't
I'll
think you
put
can.
smart devices.
Yeah, and also I think the last I noticed that if you want to build, so most guys want to build an Android app, want to build a web dashboard for it, and then you want to build a backend. That's gonna take you lots of time. It's gonna take you a lot of time. Someone has asked. Oh, so I think I've talked to this with my friends. Yeah, so we'll create a drive where we'll share our documentation, or project resources that we used, and then you guys can go through it. And yeah, so if you want to like pitch your idea to anyone here, if you have any idea on an Android app or augmented reality, you can reach out to Charles. I think he's okay with being reached out personally. Also, you can reach out to Gizinji for any IoT, and then you can reach out to Adrian and also Anne if you want to do something on. I think this guys did something on health and something of a sort. Yeah. Do you have any more questions, or anyone wants to add anything else?
How are they reaching out to us?
Could we share our emails, or
Oh, sorry.
would you prefer number?
I'm okay with either.
Yeah. So I think do you have to use words to make your proposal? Bro, anything. Like if you can use C++ to write your proposal, then
How?
It is something petty.
I'm messing though, but no one, it doesn't. Just make sure it's
How which other way will you make a proposal? Unless maybe you're not understanding the question.
um
For Android, James, reach out to Charles.
It depends. Android, you're using Java to me. Kotlin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because me, I'm more of native Android.
latex. Okay. To be honest, I'm just googling what latex is. So
Maybe on
a whole,
latex I know it's something very different.
um it's a document preparation system. Yeah, as long as it sticks to the idea. So
The proposal is just a one paragraph thing, if I remember. So that's what it was, like a one paragraph thing. Basically
yeah,
the page one of your documentation, one of
yeah,
the first pages. It
yes.
doesn't need to be
Proposal
very
of chapter 1 and 2, Ama?
Oh wait,
No,
what's
that was the
the first
abstract.
thing we did?
Proposal.
Yeah, the
The first
abstract.
thing,
Yeah, the abstract.
first thing we did was in the first presentation, it was about a background statement about your problem statement, related applications, and so your conceptual framework or something. And the proposal, it was just I think 2 paragraphs. Is it 2 paragraphs or 3? Yeah,
2 or 3.
yeah. Just one stating the again background information, problem statement, and your proposed solution. That's all. It was less than 200 words, 50 words maximum.
Remember to don't overpromise.
Um, I think we'll share everything that comes to do with how you can reach us out. Could we share? So I'll share it to Innocent so that we get someone from AI. We can drop our emails here. So we'll share our emails and the technologies we did. So we'll compile that, so that we can get even more guys. Android, you can reach out to Charles or me, or even Anne. Yeah, we're all in the Android space right now, even like work and all. Uh, which language would be easy to build a simple UI for a mobile app that connects with machine learning as a backend? If you can use TensorFlow for the machine learning, the better. You won't need to build a backend. But for the backend, I think the best thing for you to do is you can train a model, and then you can use Flask. Flask is really easy, like Flask API. You can use it to wrap around the model so that it's like a REST API. So once you pass in the input, it gives you the predictions. And then Android, if you guys have been taught Java and Android, you can literally use that and use a library like Retrofit to query it. So if you want to do an Android and machine learning, you can do the machine learning as a Python backend. Um, yeah. And then I hope I've answered your question, Vanessa, on how to build like a simple UI for a backend. Yeah, and Kelsey is saying Android Studio added TensorFlow support. So if you wanna do machine learning on Android, I'd recommend go the TensorFlow way. TensorFlow like gives you so many things out of the box that you wouldn't have to do it. And then if there's a way you can avoid building a backend and you know an API you can use, like Anne used an API for her database system, for her, not her database, for her diabetes. So she used an open API. So if there's somewhere you can find leverage on technologies that have already been used. And also, like, I think this is something I tried. You guys can try push for collaboration. If most of you guys are doing the same projects around the same thing, like,
Yeah.
try so much to collaborate, because I think me and Adrian used to like bounce off ideas around machine learning. With Anne and Charles, we used to bounce off stuff to do with Android UI. So don't work in silos. Like, have guys who actually ask. Like, someone just asking you Mefika Wapi project. That thing is a shocker that makes you remember you have.
Also for IoT guys, if you notice someone has a device that you might want to use, it's cheaper doing it as a group than just buying things alone.
Also, probably a question for the guys. I came in a bit late, so probably there's someone here who still doesn't have an idea what to work on. It's probably you can do well, the
And we can't hear you. Move closer to your.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. So probably there's someone who still doesn't know what they want to do. Yes, they know there's Android, there's machine learning, VR and all that, but like they still don't have an idea. So I think I came in like minutes late. So did you guys give like ideas of how you can think on what to work on?
You can still give.
Consider.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I also think like the first week I still didn't know what to work on. So I used to attend hackathons before, but a really good idea of thinking about the different probably things you can work around. You can look at SDGs, sustainable development goals. So they give like things that I don't know, they're actually things that countries focus on in improving or something of the sort. So you can look at that and probably hackathons and look at ideas of what guys have been doing. So, like you may feel like you don't have an idea, but after you look at all that, it kind of sparks ideas of what you can work on, and then you can now
Yeah. I think
then you can look at that.
also to concur with Anne, there's a I think I shared with them, there's a Microsoft white paper that was published for Africa last year. So this Microsoft white paper, what Microsoft did is they came and researched in different sectors, transport, government, education, and all these things, they start to where AI and machine learning can be used. So if you get, I think I'll try share that link, but it's a Microsoft Africa white paper on machine on at AI, and they literally talked about application you can build. So it's an AI, yeah, it's called AI for Africa white paper. So it's literally examples of how you can use AI in, yeah. So if you just search for it, you'll get it.
Probably if there's someone who wants to work on something on coronavirus or something, there's also a file that I saw going around that had like the different sectors or problems that's like this virus brought. So I can also share that. You can look for ideas there. So I'll look for it and share. I don't have it like right now, so I'll share it.
Also, for if you know you're going to be using a particular technology in your project, you should probably start. For some of them, you need to apply and they need to review your application first before they give you access. Like for Twitter, if you are planning at all or even think you might want to do anything to do with Twitter, go to their Twitter developers website and apply right now. It's a bit of a lengthy. You write a lot of stuff there. It's like you're presenting a project to them. So it's a lot of lengthy stuff you're supposed to be writing them for them to review and get back to you and actually give you access. I know with all this coronavirus stuff, you don't know when they might get back to you. It's uncertain. So just do that as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So if you want to do AI, I've dropped a link for the white paper PDF. So Strathmore Microsoft is actually the one that did this partnership to come up with this paper. So it's a full paper showcasing how projects which have been done around like different industries and so many of them. So yeah, you wanna unless there are any more questions on anything like units, I hope you guys have learned. You can reach out to any of us. Yeah. I think we'll just hang in for like 2 minutes to see if there's any question. Adrian or Kizinzi or anyone or Charles, anything you'd want? Other common projects that passed. Common projects, yeah. I think, it depends on wanna try that.
There were two common projects that passed. There were two guys doing blockchain, and it was kind of similar. And yeah, I think they both passed. And there are other two doing something to do with parking. One was using IoT, and both were IoT. Yeah, they were just to do with parking, and yeah, they both passed. So they can.
Yeah. Also, I think just like advice off the hook that I can tell you guys is there's gonna be like so much comparison with like you comparing your project with someone else, but you're like everyone is on their own path. It's you and your supervisor. So sometimes you wanna people are doing complex stuff. And then you're like, I wanna do something complex, but you don't have the bandwidth to do it. So no need of stressing yourself. Someone's asking basic projects at past. Anyone wants to try
Basic.
that?
Um, uh, did no library systems are blacklisted. So there are
Yeah.
those projects that are blacklisted.
Hotel
So
management,
hotel management. What
health
else was there? Taxi.
management, yeah, anything to
And
do with Uber.
those they are rejected from the get go. So even you won't pass you won't pass from Orero's presentation. He'll just tell you go and look for something else. Then okay, there were projects which seemed easy, but they were not common things. Can't remember basic like there were no calculators for sure.
Yeah, I think the best thing we can
Problem.
do, I don't know if Githinji you have an access to e-learning, is we can get you the list of projects guys did. I think that's the list that was published of people. I don't know if guys will be okay with it. I think we can make it anonymous, or like we can remove the names and then we can share it to you. So those will be projects that got to the point of presentation. So I'm sure if you got to presentation level, I'm sure you'll pass. Okay, I'm not sure if this was answered. Do they bring in lecturers from other courses to the panel? I answered this up there, but I wish they did, but they don't.
Yeah, I also wish they did.
Also, this question, just because a lecturer is in FIT doesn't mean that they don't know, for example, economics, for example. So some lecturers actually all rounded. So you might think that they don't know. You might try to bluff, and you figure out that the lecturer actually knows exactly what you're talking about. So they don't particularly go and look for like someone from that faculty or that school, but the panelists may have someone who actually knows. Yeah.
Yeah, because IT majorly doesn't work in isolation. So in most cases, you're trying to apply uh technology in a given field. Like for Adrian, his field was adaptive lighting. For Charles was like personalized learning. So he does know something about education. For Adrian, he definitely knows something about depression and statements and psychology. And for Anne, definitely knows something in health. So you might get someone who just knows something to do with economics. And I think, yeah.
Also, that goes back to research. I was working on diabetes.
Can't hear you, Anne.
Um, what I'm saying is that also goes back to research on the project. So for me, I was doing project on diabetes. So I went and talked to the diabetes guy. Like, so I went and talked to him. Actually, making something that helped actually going through these things. Oh no, has to really have a better. So it also goes back. So probably can talk to identify a problem to have like specific people they affect. You can try to talk to most people their problem, or I'm just gassing myself up, and then when they stuff up, I'm like, okay, no, there's no problem. So you can try also something that you know, okay, probably they even have data. Maybe you're doing a mail, they have data. So it goes back to research.
Yeah, and then bouncing off your ideas around people will help you get the criticism that you need. And as me and Adrian told you, is don't be too emotionally attached to your projects because you can easily change them as like very quickly. Yeah, I think there are no more questions. I'd just like to tell guys to wrap it up with anything they want to share. Like anyone, Gizinji or Charles or Anne or Adrian.
Mm, thank you for listening to us.
Awesome. Adrian?
Um, just good luck and don't 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 be don't be so scared. It's not as crazy as it sounds. It isn't. So just but don't wait till the last minute. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So yeah, at least make sure you're done halfway by the time the first semester is ending and your documentation is done. Yeah.
Charles?
Uh, you say, bana, you be scared, bana. Be scared, bana. This thing is not a joke, man.
That's kushtua watu.
But it can get you a lot of marks. Personally, I got a lot of marks from it, and it really pushed my mean up by a lot of marks. So yeah, just be serious with it. series.
Yeah.
There's a
And
question. There's a
uh-huh.
question before you
Move
run
closer
on.
to your mic.
There's a question. Compare
Mm-hmm.
the second year project and the fourth year project. With, 10. 1
10.
to
10.
10.
Wait, what does 10 represent?
I think it's how from easy to hard, like if you compare second year to fourth year, how different is it?
Oh, as in, is 10 hard or is 10 easy?
I think let's
Oh,
make 10 hard so that it's
yes.
easier for guys to understand.
So, for me, it was like second year was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth year was around 7, 8. Yes, 8 was an 8.
For me, I think it was actually in reverse. I think mostly just because I was a bit of a joker earlier, and I overpromised, and I was using technologies that I have no idea. Because at that time we had been on Android, so and that's what I did for my project. So I think for second year for me, it was uh, I'd give it a 8 or 9, even 10, yeah, 9.5. But my fourth year was a bit easier because I did less with an easier language, and I think it was like around.
Mm-hmm. Charles, you wanna give it a rating?
For me, second year was very simple. I'd give it a rating of like 2. I think I finished it in like a month or less. For the year, bana, that's a 10/10, bana. That's that, bana.
Okay.
You can't compare. Yeah.
And what do you think?
Ish,
As you wrap
Charles.
up?
Anyway, for me, my first year, I'll give it a 5 just because I had like a really good supervisor. I was working under Titus, but I didn't know most of the technologies of even. So I had a so just a 4, 5. But and then for the, I'll give it an 8.
Awesome. Yeah,
So
I
I'm the
think
only one.
Eh?
mine is a reversed as well. Like when I was doing my second year project, I never knew most of the things I was doing. Never knew what Android was, so it was a bit hard. But then fourth year was more a bit yes more challenging. So I'll give it like a 5. Second year 5 because second year you can get away with so many things. What you just the second year, so you can get away with so many things. But uh fourth year it's harder to get away with a couple of things. Yeah, and also remember you have other units next semester which will still be very intense. Like some units will still be very intense. So you have to consider that a project is you're not just doing the project alone. Yeah, Anne, had you wrapped up or I cut you short?
Okay. It was nice talking to you guys. Feel free to reach out on Android from my side. And yes, look forward to the next session. You guys have. I'll also share this.
Okay, guys, that was it from me. I think thanks just for like showing up. I never thought who was I telling? I think I was telling Adrian that I don't even get like the Instagram live people, but then when I go live on meaningful things, like I get a couple of guys coming. Yeah, so my advice would be definitely to like don't stress yourself so much about it. Know what you want to do, and then get into the line with it. Remember, you still have other units. And don't neglect those other units because fourth year units can give you a boost to your mean grade. Like if you want to, if you like want to like boost it, you have units like social informatics, which is very fun next semester. You have things to look up to. I think
Multimedia.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have multimedia is this semester or next semester. This are you
The
guys
last
doing?
semester.
Yeah, you guys will do multimedia and
It was the last one, I
multimedia.
think.
Multimedia is so easy. You guys will be shooting vlogs. Let me just tell you that. Uh, Let me give you guys hope. Multimedia, you'll be
That
shooting vlogs,
multiple choice paper was not easy.
yeah, but you'll be
We never
shooting
learned
vlogs.
about you. These people from creation Greece.
Yeah. And also social informatics, you'll also be doing vlogs. So get your acting skills ready. Next semester, apart from you clowning in your project, you'll be clowning like real life in other units and acting. Like,
You'll be
still
getting
fun.
marks for clowning.
Yeah, for real. You literally, I think project for social informatics, which is 24%, was acting.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can't fail. He was a real nice
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. It's very hard for you to fail for tier, like most of for tier units. Apart from this semester is a bit intense because of distributed, which we told you guys to start reading for it.
Yeah, even then for next semester, start reading this semester.
Okay, guys, if there's thanks so much for thanking us. I think yeah, can call it a wrap. And also thank Innocent for setting this up. Like he's constantly been setting this up, and I just popped up the idea to him, and it's now actually come up. Yeah, thanks.